Well, it's finally time. With almost a year of planning, custom building this stand with my friend, getting all of the materials painstakingly put together, we are here. It is the day. We're doing an aquascape. I have to tell you, setting up an aquascape is my favorite part about this hobby, hands down, and I can't wait to get in this build. It's gonna be technical, it's gonna be fun, but I think it's gonna be worth it. This scape, I'm calling it the Rootscape. The whole idea behind this is I wanted it to almost be a slice out of a riverbed where you were kind of just swimming on by it and you could see this tucked away cave system with all these roots coming down. And I'm just gonna keep the base kind of bare. There's gonna be a lot of plants, but I wanna make it look like a riverbed. So I can't wait to get in this. First steps first, my favorite thing, the substrate system. Let's get pouring. I always like to use some crushed lava rock. I just feel like having a good, I would say 1/2 inch to 1 inch layer of crushed lava rock on the base of your aquascape will help just build your beneficial bacteria and ensure that your tank can go for the long haul. It's gonna be tough getting this lava rock in here, but I'm just gonna do my best to sprinkle a light layer across it all, cap some of those root tabs, and then we're just gonna pour a lot of aqua soil on top of it, get some decorative sand, and our substrate layer will be looking good. So this is the perfect spot for me to stop and talk about what I'm using here. This is UNS's Contra Soil. I'm using the brown variation. I use this in pretty much all of my tanks, and this being my dream UNS build, we're definitely gonna be using their substrates, their aqua soils, and it's just gonna be a perfect natural looking aqua soil and substrate. So Contra Soil is gonna be my choice for this tank. So we got our aqua soil placed down. Our next step is to use our UNS sand scraper. This thing is amazing. It is one solid piece of metal. A lot of other sand flatteners or movers, they keep the center tube one piece, but then for the two tips, they actually use a whole separate piece of metal and they pinch them together, and over time it just falls apart and doesn't work well. So this UNS sand flattener is perfect for getting our aqua soil pushed up off the front so we can add our decorative sand layer. And as you can see, it does the job perfectly. All right, and for our Roots aquascape, I'm thinking the UNS Contra Sand Mojave is gonna be the perfect decorative sand for this scape. It's gonna give us a nice bright pop right in the foreground here, and then it's going to mix in to another Contra gravel that we're gonna be using later in the video. But I feel like this extra fine Mojave Contra Sand is gonna pull together it by giving it that bright pop right in the front that leads you into this dark, deep looking root cave system we got going on here. So let's get to pouring. When designing your aquascape, choosing the right decorative layer of gravel or sand can be very challenging, but with their new line of the Contra Sand from UNS, it's making it really easy to visualize and see what your aquascape is gonna look like when you're finished. And with my Siriu and Spiderwood aquascape here, I knew it was gonna be a challenge because Siriu stone can be rough, finding something that looks natural with it. But I thought if I could find something that is similar to it, it would help contrast it so it wasn't a huge change, but it also in a way looked like the Sirius stones have broken apart over time and kind of formed these little tiny chunks that are sitting underneath it. And something good about gravel is it's great to plant in. You can just pop that right in there, and unlike sand, roots will be able to travel through this. So let's see how it looks in our scape and put some in there. All right, next up is we're gonna make this aquascape look realistic as possible. And one way that I've found that makes scapes just come together in looking natural is adding some roots. So the main wood that we're using is spider wood. So what I did is I found some smaller spider wood pieces and I literally took a saw to them and I made them into these little tiny bits and pieces. There's, you know, big ones like this to choose from all the way down to just these little tiny sticks and twigs. And over the next, 30 minutes or so, I'm gonna be scanning all of the crevices and cracks that don't look natural. And if I see one that, you know, hey, this little piece can fit in that crack and it looks like that, you know, the tree root was growing through the rock, I'm gonna take it, put it right where it needs to be, grab the paper towel, get maybe a little tiny fingertip worth of the paper towel, bunch it up, put it underneath the root like so, so you can't see it from the front. And then I'm gonna take some liquid super glue, pour that over the paper towel, and it'll start sizzling and smoking and doing its chemical reaction thing, and that will lock this root in wherever we put it. So take your time with this step if you're doing this on your aquascape, because it can truly pull it all together for you. All right, so this is an awesome point to show you guys where we're at. We got all of our roots glued down. We got the substrate perfect. To me, this is absolutely natural looking. But now we need to go on to equipment. And where I'm starting with equipment is gonna be our CO2, because I want these plants to be super happy. As you can see here, I'm just measuring our tube here before I cut it. And then this tube will lead onto our UNS Pro regulator, which is my first time getting my hands on that thing, and I'm really excited to see how it works. But right now, we just gotta measure some tubing. Make sure we don't cut ourselves. Perfect. So if you've been looking at how to keep your plants healthy, how to make them grow to their full potential, I'm sure you've gone down the rabbit hole of looking into a Pro regulator. And let me tell you, at first glance, this device can seem intimidating. It can seem like a lot, but UNS and their Pro dual stage regulator have really made installing CO2 pretty much friendly for everyone. As long as you're willing to do a little research, read up on how to tighten and control all of these things, UNS has done it right. They've made an awesome CO2 regulator that not only looks absolutely sleek with this silver finish on it, but they've made it so you can have one tank running CO2, and then you also can have an additional one that can run another tank. And it even continues, so you can have, you know, I think you can have 4 or 5, who knows how many, but you can run multiple tanks off of one Pro regulator, which is one of the coolest things about this thing. And it comes with an included Allen key and extra O-rings, and all you do is grab the Allen wrench there, unscrew these two, and this just comes right out. So that's actually what I'm gonna do for this tank. We got our UNS, I believe this is a 2.5 pound bottle of CO2. And this morning I went over to the local liquor store and they filled it up with food grade CO2 for me. Pro tip, when you get your CO2 bottle filled, since it's a gas, you're gonna wanna bring it into your house, have it upright, and reach room temperature before screwing these on. Because CO2 is compressed and it gets so cold, it'll actually make the metal on your CO2 bottle smaller, and as it heats up to warm temperature, it'll expand and it'll lose this, so you'll actually get a little CO2 leaking going on there. So as soon as you get your bottle filled, sit in room temperature and get to installing your Pro regulator. And in fact, that's what I'm gonna do right now. So let's go get this all installed and show you what it looks like running. We're just doing our surface skimmer. This is one of my hidden tips and gems for any one of my aquascapes, is I love having a good surface skimmer on there. It just makes the top of the water not look as trashed and doesn't get that surface film buildup, and it just overall makes your tank a little bit healthier. And the Aquascape surface skimmer is a breeze to put on. I'm just gonna put it right here for now. I'll adjust it later because you'll wanna make sure it is, you know, close to where your water line's at. So what this is gonna do is this floats up to where your water line's at and it bobs up and down. And what it does is it breaks that biofilm tension in the water and just makes your surface of your water crystal clear, and it actually pushes down some water flow as well to help with your circulation in your tank. So this is just a great little thing to have, and I think it's gonna keep the surface of our tank good. Let's get into the heart of the Roots Aquascape. It's going to be an Aquascape Biomaster. I have it perfectly built out here. So I already trimmed up our hoses and got those in. I needed to have that done so I could fit in all of the Aquascape here, but let's get this out. Reasons why I love the Biomaster here is it has a built-in heater, and this just saves you from having one more piece of equipment that's visible in the tank. So this heater is hidden inside of the filter, and what that does is it allows it to be a more stable and precise temperature because water's always moving through here and it's hidden and out of the way, and we love that because we just spent, I don't know, I've spent so much time designing and planning and doing this aquascape that I don't want a big bulky heater just, you know, ruining the view and taking away all the naturalness of it. So let's get this set up. For filter media, I am just going to be using the sponges that are included with the Biomaster. I'm going to be using 2 of these big blue sponges on the bottom to catch a lot of the debris. And then for mechanical, biological, however you want to call it, we're using some Chem Matrix. You can put this up against any filter media and I guarantee you this Chem Matrix will beat it. It's pretty much in every single one of my tanks. And I think it'll be the perfect filter media for this. We're about to get the carpet super dirty, but hey, that's all right. We can vacuum afterwards. Just like that, we have filter media. I'm gonna go rinse these out real quick and then we'll be right back, put this back together for you. Some freshly washed Chem Matrix. It almost sounds like Rice Krispie Treats if I put this mic up to it. Hopefully you can hear that noise. It's like a crispy crackling noise. I love it. That's because this is just super densely porous material. So on the inside there, it's gonna colonize and harbor all of our beneficial bacteria. So we'll get this in there, this in here. And then one more thing I forgot to show you that's awesome about this filter is it has a bunch of pre-filter sponges. So all the water will pass through this sponge layer before even hitting our regular filter media. So we're gonna pop, whoa! We're gonna pop this back in right here. Everybody's excited, even our little filter media stuff is excited. Beautiful. We have a filter now. We can plug this in. Well, we won't plug it in now. We'll wait to get the water in there and then we'll plug her in. All right, and you know me, none of my tanks would be done until we had some immersed plant growth. I've been growing these monster peace lilies for a while now, and this is gonna be an experiment. I don't know how this is gonna work, but we're gonna try it out today. We're gonna try to take both of these peace lilies and put them on top of these wood platforms here. I'm either gonna try to super glue some pieces of them, or I am going to try to put some wooden dowels around the back so then I can, you know, secure the peace lily to those. But hey, you know, let's experiment, let's have some fun. Let's grab these peace lilies. Planting. One of the most key aspects of aquascaping is using your plants and placing them in your aquascape that makes sense. And using the right tools actually makes the world of a difference. And UNS has taken the time to craft very nice tools. Something I'm going to be using quite frequently on this build are these 3 tools right here. We have our spring scissors. These are perfect for any mosses, any carpeting plants, anything that's real bushy and small that you just need to get a bunch of quick little snips with. These scissors are perfect. Next, we got our, the curved scissors. These are awesome to use because, as you can see in a scape like this, getting your arms in and out of this is going to be a pain, but we're gonna have to do some trimming. And what I can do, since these are so long and they're curved, I can have the length in there, and then the end of the scissors are gonna be curved at the end there. So any little snip I wanna make is gonna be a breeze. And then finally, probably one of my favorite tools, not only for planting, but literally anything in the hobby. I use it for placing cotton, for getting anything out of a tight space. These curved tweezers are amazing. They're built very well, and something that a lot of people don't think of with tweezers is their rebound strength. If you don't have a lot of pull away, when you go to put your plants in and it doesn't have enough strength to grip apart like that, it's going to catch on the plant that you're just planting and it's going to rip it out when you go to pull it out. So what we're gonna do is grab these guys to start with, and we're gonna head over to my plant storage tank where I've been growing all the plants for this. So let's head over to the planted tank here. As you can see, these are gonna be the main plants for this rooted build. We have a lot of my favorites here. We have some Starogen repens. We have some, I'm probably gonna say this wrong on the wood there, it's a Riccia flutens. That's a new type of moss that I'm working with. I love how it branches out and looks. And then we also have some of these really nice red plants in the background that I think that red and pink is going to accent the scape very nicely. We're gonna rip all these plants out, get them laid out on a nice little cutting board so I can see what I'm working with, put it next to the tank, and man, we're gonna have a planting time. Let's make this aquascape a true planted tank. Well, I'd say that's a dream UNS aquascaped tank. I've been thinking about this for well over a year now. I was trying to find some of the old footage of when I was building the stand and got the first tank delivered. And I just can't believe it's been that long of me planning, thinking, and dreaming of this, and seeing the dream, you know, come from paper to reality is amazing. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to BRSFRESH. Thank you so much for sending me all this amazing UNS gear. I really appreciate you guys. And if anyone that was watching this video wants any part of this aquascape, all of this can be found over at BRSFRESH. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this dream UNS build. I think this has been one of my best aquascapes, and we'll leave you with some awesome beauty shots of all the lights turned off, and we'll let this get some clarity to it, and I think it'll be perfect. See you guys next time.